Check one, two. Check one, two, test.
Good evening. How's everyone doing this evening? Wonderful. So glad that you joined us. Um, just a few things. If you haven't been here before, the bathrooms are down the hallway. There's the two doors on the right. There's tea and water in the lobby, so help yourself to those. And I'm excited to introduce our speaker for this weekend. We have Kylee Melo from Granite Bay area. She's a registered dietitian and an author of a wonderful cookbook. So I'm sure she'll be sharing that with us too. So thank you so much, Kylee, for joining us and sharing all of your wealth of knowledge.
Oh, it is. Okay. I was told just to turn it on and it works, so that's good. All right. I'm so glad to see everybody here tonight. Um, I'm excited to be here. I drove over today after church. I came over and everything was just like so lovely and peaceful. My GPS brought me over 20, Highway 20. Oh, it was so beautiful. Anyway, I'm so excited to be here. I don't even have to ask why you guys live here because it's just beautiful. So I'm very excited. My name is Kylee Melo. I'm a registered dietitian. I, I should have written down some things. I know who I am. I just forget, you know, what I'm supposed to say about it. Um, I have three beautiful little kids. I wish I had a picture to show you. They're just the cutest little things ever. I have an 8-year-old, a 7, and a 5-year-old. I homeschool all three of them. So God's teaching me patience. Every time I asked him for patience, he kept giving me another child. So I don't ask for patience anymore. Uh, and I have a wonderful husband. He's Brazilian, and so I've had to learn to make a lot of good Brazilian food, and he's just a wonderful man. And um, yeah, that's mostly about me. I've written a cookbook, like Isabella was saying. It's called Simply Fresh. I wrote it, let's see, 8 years ago. It came out. I was actually pregnant with my first child. I was working full time, and I had 6 months to write it. And so I always say, God definitely wrote this because I don't remember hardly being able to write it and all those things. So it is wonderful, and you'll get to try some of the recipes tomorrow. They're very good. My kids eat them all the time, and they are pretty picky, but they do have some of their favorite recipes in the book. So, and I don't have to usually force feed them the recipes either. But tonight, when I was thinking about, okay, what am I going to present to this group of people tonight? I I usually talk about health, of course, because that's what we're all here for, right? We want to learn different things that we can implement in our lives to help us to feel better, to be able to move better, and all around to be better. And I was thinking about the title. I titled it Right Conditions because tonight I want to go back and I want to make it simple. We have this whole eh, this whole world is trying to tell us, do this, do that, try this diet, eat this, this is going to help you, this will get rid of that, try this shot, take this pill and it's going to help you, right? Because we all want to be healthy. That's why the health industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, because people want to be healthy, we want to feel good, and we want to look good as well, but we want to be able to move, and no matter what age we are. So I wanted to talk about the right conditions, because we're told that how are we made? We're fearfully and wonderfully made. And when we actually stop and look at the body and the wonderful things that it can do, if given the right conditions, it's amazing. So I'm actually going to share some testimonies with you guys. Ones that I have experienced, and also ones that people I've helped have experienced as well, because I want us to see that when we give our bodies the right condition, that it can thrive, that it can actually heal itself, it can reverse different things, and it can prevent as well. So before I start, let's have a word of prayer, because I don't want to speak. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this evening here with this church and these wonderful people who have made it here. We just ask that you would please speak to each one of us, including myself, because we know that you are our creator and you have made our bodies to do wonderful things. So please speak through me, that it would touch the hearts and minds of each person here. You know what each one is going through, you know what each one is needing help with. And you are the healer and you are a creator. So please just give us wisdom and knowledge. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so right conditions. We want everything fast, right? We like fast food. We like things quick. We like things now. I want it now. I know sometimes if we go out to eat with my kids, they'll be like, oh, they're taking so long. Why isn't it ready? I'm like, it's been 6 minutes since we told them what we wanted, and it's going to be here in 2. That's really fast. That's faster than I can make it. So we want things quick. It's the same with health. It's the same with weight loss is a big one these days, right? We want, oh, just give me the shot and help me to lose weight, and then I'll feel better and it'll help. But when we look at all these things that are quick and fast, are they actually healthy for us? Or is it just something that shows us a little bit of where we're wanting to be, but it's not quite there? But if given the right conditions, our body can heal itself. So, like I said, I'm going to share some testimonies because I want you to realize how wonderful our bodies are, especially if we put it in the right conditions. So, I want to think of it this way. What happens if somebody breaks their arm? What's usually done? It gets set, maybe if it's out of place, right? If it's a fracture, they just put a cast on. And then what do? Maybe physical therapy or just wait, right? You can wait until they have to cut the cast off, and then what happened? The arm is back to where it's supposed to be, right? What's happening inside? The body is able to heal itself, right? Of course, if it is out of place, they have to put it back, hopefully in the right place. The doctor did not put my sister's arm in the right place, and it's all contorted now. Every time, if she ever sees him in town, she's like, "You remember you did this? That was you." And anyway, hopefully they put it in the right place. But that's the body. Like, that's amazing. You can break a bone, and if put back in the right place, the right condition, it'll go back and it'll heal itself. That's just an example. When I was a missionary in Zambia, Africa, this was it was, let's see, 20 years ago, and I don't know how because I'm only 27. So it's not that funny. Okay, but it was about 20 years ago. I was a missionary in Zambia, Africa. And I was there for 6 months, just in the middle of nowhere, the bush, they call it. There's no electricity, there's no running water. The only car within probably 20 miles was the people we were staying with, which I was thankful for. And after I left, it was a wonderful experience to get to know the culture and the people and everything. And I left. And about a year later, I was in school. I was going to Walla Walla, and I heard God tell me, "You need to leave school." I was like, "Oh, if that's true, you got to tell my parents because that's not going to go over well." But anyway, I did, and I was like, "What am I doing? What I have to finish, you know?" And I just heard God tell me, that still voice inside that we hear sometimes, "Go back to Zambia." It's like, what? By myself? Before I was with a group, and there was 4 other people besides myself. So I didn't feel so alone. But this time, it was God saying, "Go back. You need to go back to the same village." And I was like, oh, I was a broke college student. I didn't have the money. I had every excuse to tell God, "I don't think that's what you mean. Like, that's not what you're trying to tell me." But the money came in. I just told my church, I said, I think I'm supposed to go back. And all of a sudden, the day before I left, I had the exact amount of money that I needed to go. So I was like, okay, I'm supposed to go to Zambia, Africa, in the bush by myself. So I got there and I thought, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was only studying the Bible with people before, and I didn't really have any experience with health. When I got there, I would just go to the different villages. I had to walk everywhere, so I'd go with my translator. And we got to one house and we were studying the Bible with them. And this old grandma came over and she was motioning me to come and follow. And so we finished up. I followed her with my translator and I said, what does she need? Like, where are we going? He said, oh, her grandson's hurt and she needs your help. I was like, you want me to give him a Bible verse or something? I don't know what to do. And oh, let's just go see, because they thought, oh, you're white, you're the doctor, you're gonna help. And I was like, oh, I have Band-Aids and antibiotic and that's it, or like the antibiotic cream and that's it. So I got there and this grandson of hers, he had been in a fire 3 months before I got there. And his whole leg from his inner thigh, the whole thing was just completely burnt. And the place where they live, they don't really have anything clean. The water is not clean or anything. And I thought, I don't have Band-Aids big enough to cover that. And so as soon as the grandma unwrapped it with cloth and showed it to me, the smell was putrefying. There were flies going to it immediately. Just the boy couldn't walk. He had to crawl and he was in such pain for 3 months and they didn't have money to go to the doctor. So I thought, okay, I need more than a Bible verse. I need one for myself, but I need more than what I have. And so we stopped and I said, let's just pray. And so I prayed. And as soon as I got done praying, I said, we're going to make a charcoal poultice. And I just told them, because they make their own charcoal, I said, you get your charcoal, you pound it up, let's put it over the fire in a pan and burn out the infirmities. Let's add some water and let's put it right onto the leg, wrap it around with clean towel, and do that morning and night. And I left. And they kept doing it. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. A couple days later, the grandma came to my village and she said, you have to come see my grandson. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm killing him. Like, what did I do? So I went back and she unraveled the cloth. And I looked at it and it was this beautiful pink flesh, clean. And I was like, oh, keep going, keep doing it. And so by the time I left 3 weeks later, you could see there was just a little bit of flesh still and everything else had just healed. And I thought, wow, I never knew about charcoal poultices. I had never experienced it before. I had heard of other people doing it. But God gave me that wisdom because he sent me there. And I tell this to people. I said, God loves each one of us so much that he will send somebody from across the world to a far out bush village for a 12-year-old boy who had been in a fire 3 months. He'll send somebody from the United States all the way to the bush in Africa because he loves that boy so much. And by the time we left, the boy was able to start walking again. And I was just like, wow, he just needed the right conditions. And that was it. When I got home, my grandma, I told her the story and she said, why didn't you just pay for him to go to the doctor? I was like, did you not hear the story? Like, he could walk by 3 weeks. So it's these simple things that we can actually do. When something after that, I was like, man, I need to know more about health. I want to help people. These things are great. They're simple and they can work. And then after I had finished school, actually, I did a bunch of things. It took me about 10 years to finish college because I was doing ministry in between and all of these things. But when I finished, there was another opportunity that I asked God for wisdom, and he gave it again. Because I was driving my friend from Michigan over to Virginia, her and her little kids, to go see her family because she had just had her appendix removed. And so I was helping her drive and taking care of her. By the time we were almost to her mom's house, I thought, man, I'm not feeling good. I don't know what's happening. And then I thought, oh, I think I should try something because I've heard of this before. If I put my hand right in the lower right quadrant here, and if I push in, and if I let go and it hurts, does anybody know what that is? Appendix, right? It's inflamed. And so I thought, oh, I don't think it is. And I pushed, okay, all right, it's my appendix. So we finished to her mom's house. Before we got there, I said, stop at the grocery store. And I was with her when her appendix burst. And I saw her through surgery and everything and helping. And I stopped at the grocery store. So we stopped there and I got a bunch of foods. And I got to her mom's house and she had a juicer. So I just juiced them and I drank it quickly. And I still thought, I have to fly home tomorrow. I don't want to be on the plane and it's going to burst. Um, so I said, take me to the emergency room. So she took me, and sure enough, they did the scan. And yes, your appendix is inflamed. You have to have surgery. Now, I've never had any surgery ever, anything, never been under anesthesia. And so I was scared. My friend couldn't stay because she had her kids. My family is in Oregon. And so I'm like, oh, I'm here by myself. I have to have surgery. And I was just praying, and I took a little nap before surgery because it was the middle of the night. And I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and I came back and I laid down and I was thinking, wait a minute. It's nothing. My stomach's not hurting anymore. And I pushed in, nothing. And I kept pushing. And I'm like, well, I probably shouldn't keep pushing, aggravate it more. The nurse came in and I told her, I said, hey, I drank this juice with all these foods. And I'm telling her, and I'm saying, it's not hurting anymore. I don't think I have it. So, of course, if you're in the medical field, you're like, oh, either psych ward or you're talking to somebody else. So she's like, just talk to the doctor when he comes in. So the doctor comes in and I'm telling him, I'm like, look, there's nothing. So he's feeling around. He said, well, I have to tell you, you still need your surgery. I said, okay, I'm not going to get it. I'm going to leave. And so I had to sign papers saying, hey, this is on you. And I went back to my friend's house, drank some more juice, did that, got on a plane, kept drinking it 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I didn't do anything else. I did have rice with turmeric because I wasn't willing to put it in my juice. So I had rice with lots of garlic and turmeric as well. I got home. I saw another surgeon, and he said, I watched you walk into my office from your car. I watched you come up here and sit on my table, and you don't look like you have anything wrong with you anymore. And he's feeling around and he says, if you're my daughter, I'm saying you don't need the surgery. I was like, oh, praise God. So I kept juicing for the next couple days. And sure enough, I still have my appendix. And that was 13, 14 years ago. But I was asking, I was like, what foods? Because I had to stop and I had to think. My friend was mad. She's like, why didn't you think of this when my appendix was inflamed? She'll still bring that up to me. That was 14 years ago. I'm like, just let it go. We had to learn. Um, yes, the right side, the bottom right quadrant. If you just push in, and when it comes out, that's when it hurts and that's when it's inflamed. So I had to stop and I had to think. I'm like, appendicitis. I know that itis means what? Inflammation, right? So to me, I had to go backwards and think, why is this inflamed? What might have caused it? But more importantly, at that moment, what will help get rid of inflammation? And so I thought, oh, garlic and turmeric do, but also beets and ginger. And I added in some cucumber to help as well, some lemon and apple, because I was like, I can't drink this. I got to put lots of lemon and apple in it. And sure enough, it worked. And I actually posted a video about it on my YouTube channel, and I have had hundreds of people try it because I just say, it's my testimony. I'm not a doctor. See a doctor. But here's what I did. And hundreds of people have tried it as well and are saying, praise God, it worked for me too. But I just thought the principle behind it is trying to figure out what caused it in the first place. And if I can figure out what caused it in the first place, I can move backwards from that and figure out how do I get rid of it then, right? So that was one of my favorite testimonies for me personally, because it was like I was supposed to have surgery just an hour or so after, and that juice worked within hours. So, but you have to know what your symptoms are as well. That's part of it. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about that. We want to look at our symptoms, we want to look at the cause, and then we want to look at, okay, let's reverse it and see how we actually avoid it or reverse it as well. So after this happened, I was in Tennessee. I was staying with my brother-in-law's family, and one of them was having problems. And she called me because I had stayed with them, but I moved out and I had found a place to stay. Anyway, so she called me and she said, hey, I know you're a dietitian and I need help. I was in the hospital for 3 days with gastroenteritis and nothing's helping. I'm in such pain. Nothing is helping. The IV, the medicine they gave me, it's not working. And I said, gastroenteritis. Oh, that's what? Inflammation. I said, here's my juice recipe. I used it for my appendix. Try it. One day. And she said, it's gone. She said, I don't have the problems anymore. How come I was in the hospital fasting for 3 days? Because that's what they do, put you on clear liquids when you have this issue and give you some medicine to help. But like she said, I was there 3 days and it still wasn't helping. They just sent her home to, I don't know, stay on the medicine and hope that it helps. And I'm not saying that the Western medicine doesn't help. It has its place for sure. I know that it's helped so many people. But we also have to think, I don't want to say as doctors ourselves, because we have to think of how to take care of ourselves, right? Because sometimes God can give us the wisdom. Sometimes it's not the same wisdom that we can get from Western medicine. Usually it's a lot simpler and a lot cheaper, because I can imagine how much my surgery would have cost. And I don't think I had health insurance then. So I was happy to spend about $30 on groceries and be done. So she had her stomach, the gastroenteritis is inflammation of the stomach, and it's severely painful. I've seen many patients with it, and I'm like, they're just on clear liquids. I can't do anything for them. But it worked. And this juice actually works for a lot of things. It's helped my aunt, my mom, with arthritis. Again, anything that ends in itis, inflammation. And the juice can help with that. See a doctor. I'm just giving testimonies. But when we stop and when we think about natural things that can actually help us, they're quick and thank goodness they're cheap. That's where we can start as well. Okay. I'm only giving these as testimonies. I just want to share with people what I've experienced, what I've seen, because I want us to think as I'm saying these testimonies, our body before these things happened, were they in the right condition or they were in a severe condition, right? Severe inflammation for all these different things. So I want us to think about, okay, how can we get our body into the right condition? Even if it's emergency, like that's the best time to think and to say, what can I do for this? I was in Hawaii. My husband and I were getting married there, and my parents were there and family. And I remember my dad was in a lot of pain. His back was hurting, and he kept complaining, oh, I can't do anything. I just got to stay here, and it's hurting so much. And somehow he found out that he had kidney stones. And I was like, Dad, I'm getting married in 2 days. Like, you got to walk me down the aisle. So I was thinking, what can we do for this? And I actually looked this one up. I think I took 2 different things from it because I was like, you know what? Let's just kidney stones. What's the cause of it? It's usually that you're very dehydrated. You're not getting enough water. You're not getting enough liquid in the body, and so it causes these stones to happen. And so I thought, well, you're going to need a lot of fluids, Dad, and let's see what else we can do. So we actually, it's been a long time, but I have it written down if anybody is interested, but it is just a testimony. And so I had him, he was not happy because he had to drink olive oil. He had to drink, and I put some lemon juice in there. And then he would drink that. He would drink a big cup of water half an hour later. And then he would drink vinegar with lemon juice as well. He was really not happy with me. He's like, I don't know if I want to walk you down the aisle after this. So in every half hour, it was do one of these and then water, one of these and water, one of these, water for, I think it was 4 hours or something. He was going to the bathroom, but he passed the stone and it didn't even hurt. And because what it was doing, it was helping his body to absorb the water. It was helping to break down those stones. And I was like, oh, praise God. Like, let's go. Walk me down the aisle. I want to marry this man. He's so cute and sweet. He's very sweet. So that was his. And then recently I had a friend that he goes to our church, and he's in Pathfinders with my husband. My husband's the director at our church, and so he was like, "Oh, I can't go to Pathfinders. I'm having this kidney stones, and I just can't move." And I said, "What?" Because he was on the phone. I said, "Oh, here," and I immediately sent him, what my dad did, and I said, "Just try and see if it helps," because he had gone um, to the hospital and got whatever medicine it is that they give for that, but it was still like in such pain and everything. He called me. I don't even think it was 3, maybe 4. I'll say 4 just in case. 4 hours later, and he's like, "What was that? That was amazing. I passed it. It didn't even hurt anymore." He's like, you have to write your next book. It has to be natural remedies." And I was like, "Well, okay, I'm not there yet." But that was just a few months ago, and he still is like, "Man, I want the book. Like, you got to write it. Tell me," and so excited about it. And I was like, "That's amazing. If we put the right conditions in our body, look at even these, I'm showing just emergency situations, right? There's so much more we can do even just day to day, but these were just emergency type things that if we even just give our body a slight chance, even just a couple hours, it's able to help heal itself if we know the right things to do as well. And sometimes we don't. And that's why I've always prayed to God, like, "Help me with this, Lord, because I really don't want to have a surgery." Um, the next one is simple. I didn't know about this until I was in Africa the first time. And when you go to different countries, you don't want to drink the water. Sometimes you don't want to eat the food because you're like, "Oh, that's not going to sit well with me." And so I was in Africa, but I had been there for a while, and something I ate, I don't know, or drank, because we were on um, a different mission trip that time. Like, we had gone somewhere different from our village to help somewhere else. And I just remember like the worst stomach ache. And let me tell you, Africa is not the place to get a stomach ache, because where I was, there is no flushing toilet. There's no door, so people can't hear you even. And so I'm like, "Oh man, it's just this like thatched thing around me with a hole in the ground." I'm like, "Great." And the people are out there, and the cute boy is out there, and oh my gosh, I have a stomach ache. Anyway, it was bad. And my leader came up to me because he could hear everything. And I was just horrified, of course. Even to talk about it now is not fun. But I'm trying to make you see how terrible it is. So the leader comes up and he's like, "Hey, I think you need this." And handed me something. I was like, "What is this?" He's like, "It's for stomach aches." "Oh, you heard?" Okay. It was charcoal. It was just charcoal capsules. And I thought, "Ugh, what is this? Like, I need Pepto-Bismol. Where's the pink stuff? Give me the chalky stuff. That's what I grew up on." He's like, just take it. 2 of them. You'll be fine." I was done. My stomach stopped. Like, the next day, I was fine. Bowel movements were normal again. And I was like, "What was that magical pill you gave me?" He's like, "It's just charcoal. It's just the charcoal that the people make there, and they pound it up and put it into little capsules for us." Um, so I was like, "I'm going to have that everywhere I go. I'm going to take charcoal with me." And so even my kids, if they ever have stomach aches, for my kids, I get the powder. I mix it up with a little juice, give it to them, probably half a teaspoon of charcoal. I give it to them with a little juice so they'll drink it, and they're fine. Like, the next day, they'll pass the charcoal that comes through, and they're fine. Their tummy aches are gone within 10, 20 minutes usually. And I'm just so thankful for it, because I remember as a kid, stomach aches were horrible. You're just there and you're like, "Mom, rub my tummy, please." And now I'm just like, "Here, just have some little juice." Now they ask me like, "Oh, my tummy, can I have juice?" I'm like, "Are you asking for juice, or you actually have a tummy ache?" "Oh, I'd like the juice." I'm like, "Okay, well, let's separate those. Ask me for juice if you want, and charcoal for a stomach ache." But it's simple things. Like, who would think that charcoal would actually help with things like that? But it's so absorbent and gets out the toxins in the body. Um, and either it's going to make it come out one way or the other. And sometimes when you take it, it will automatically come back up just a little bit later. But guess what? It's actually helping take the stuff out even quicker. So I always tell my kids, I'm like, "Well, let's stay by the bathroom, because it might come up one way or the other." But it's amazing. And it's just this little black powder stuff. that they even had in Africa, and that can help with many different things as well. Um, I mentioned this one briefly as well, the arthritis. My juice, it's helped my mom, it's helped my aunt. My aunt had severe arthritis, just everything you could look and everything was just red and puffy and swollen. And so the juice is helping her if she still drinks it. But my mother-in-law was visiting from Brazil, and she just like was having so much knee pain. She's like, "Oh, my arthritis," and rubbing it. And she's a busy person. She likes to be doing things, but she couldn't do much because her knee was hurting. And I was like, I gave her some juice to drink to help it. I was like, let me go a little step further and let's make a ginger poultice and put it on your knee. And luckily, she was fine with that. It's like, oh, good. I get to test it on somebody. So I just grated, like a little cheese grater, just get some fresh ginger, grate it on there. I put it on a little wet paper towel, and I put it on her knee and then just put a bandage around it to hold it in place. And about when it's dried, then I took it off. So about an hour, I took it off and she was moving. She's like, "Oh, yeah, that's better." Obviously didn't completely heal it at that time, but I said, "Hey, let's do it again tomorrow or tonight or these different times." And each time it kept helping her arthritis. So any joints that you might have that hurt, if you just get some ginger and put it right on there, just as a poultice, put a little wet paper towel on there, it's going to help. Even just our skin absorbs so much, which is why it's so important of what we're actually putting on our skin as well. But just that ginger poultice is amazing. Drinking ginger, even better. Okay. You guys learning anything yet? Yeah? Okay. All right, good. So I'll keep going then. If you want me to stop, next time you're going to be like, maybe not. Okay, go. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's why it's so important that we're actually looking at the things we put on our skin. So even the types of lotion that we put on, a lot of it has harmful chemicals. An app I use is called Yuka, Yuka, and you can scan things to see if it's good for you or if it's harmful. And so now I'm always at like TJ Maxx scanning all of the beauty products because I'm like, I don't want the junk ones. So that's an easy way to see for that. But yes, the skin is the biggest organ of the body. So we even putting that ginger right on it, like it just soaks it right up. My oldest son had some issues, and I wasn't sure what it was. Um, I was in Oregon visiting my family, and I just remember looking at my son like he's very lean, tall and lean. But I remember looking at him, and his belly was huge. And I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And his face was puffy. So I took him to the emergency room, and they weighed him, and I was like, "He's 10 pounds heavier than normal." And I mean, he was I think 5 or 6 at the time. So 10 pounds is a lot. And I was like, "That's not right." And the nurse or the doctor was like, "Oh, well, maybe he just having some intestinal issues. And I was like, "No, he had 2 bowel movements yesterday. That's fine." And they weren't getting to the issue. They wanted to do scans, and I was like, "Forget this. I'm going home," because I was in Oregon. So I said, "I'm going home to California. Let me take him down there." So we got home, but I kept looking at him in the rearview mirror. I was like, "Oh, he's so puffy. Like, what is this? Lord, help me." We get down there. I take him to the emergency room there, and they do different tests, and they do a urine test. And I was saying to the doctors, like, "Well, we were here. Maybe it was some kind of like bite that he got because we were at these gardens." And she said, "Honey, it's his kidneys." I was like, "What?" And as a dietitian, when I had to do my rotation in the kidney dialysis center, it was by far the saddest one that I had to do. Um, and so I always thought like, "Oh, take care of your kidneys. They're so important." And so I thought his kidneys, and he had something called nephrotic syndrome, which happens in young kids, and usually by adolescence it tends to go away. But I kept asking him, like, "Well, what causes this? Because I want to know what's the cause so I can try to work backwards." And I couldn't get a straight answer. Even today, I still can't. Oh, maybe it's genetics, or maybe it's I really don't have any other answer except for them saying genetics. And I'm like, "Hey, everybody has good kidneys in our families. What's happening?" Anyway, it's a horrible thing because when he gets inflamed like that, he has to go on prednisone. And if you've been on prednisone, you know it is not a fun thing, and you can get very angry and just like a different person completely. And so every time I'd have to put my son on that, I would just like shrivel up and just want to cry because it was such a terrible thing. Anyway, it flares up every time he gets sick. So if he gets even just a cold or the sniffles, he starts to urinate protein, and then his whole body starts to swell up, and I can see it in his face. I'm like, oh, I see your eyebrows look a little like they just look a little bit puffier, or his little ears, and I can start to tell. And do a little test, and sure enough, it is. So for me, I don't know the cause behind it. I don't really know. Maybe it is genetics. I'm not sure. Even today, I'm not sure. But I thought, okay, I still know I can do things to help him. I'll still give him the medicine that I'm supposed to give, but I want to help his immune system as well. So I gave him the juice. I had to put extra apples because he was not enjoying the ginger very much. Um, so I would give him my anti-inflammatory juice, the same one I took for my appendix, and it would help him. Like I would see his protein levels start to drop down, but it wouldn't go away. I would put him in baths with Epsom salt and other things to try to help get rid of this, whatever it was that was happening. And then I started to use the app that I just told you about, Yuka. And I started to look at the food because I'm like, well, it's plant-based, but I'd start to look at things and then it'll tell you even like, oh, it has this, which is harmful for kidneys. I was like, oh, my word, like, and I'd get rid of it immediately. And, you know, you'd think as a dietitian I would know some of these things, but they are so sneaky with our food these days that you just really never know. So I start to get rid of different foods and, break his little heart. No, I'm sorry, you can't have that yogurt. Let's try this one, and put honey in it. And there's the honey people. If you got good honey, it's going to be good. Um, so I started to change his diet more as well, give him the juice, do these baths. And he's only 8. And usually it's around teenagers that it starts to go away. But I noticed this whole winter, every time he would get sick, his protein would go up in his urine. And I would just keep doing the things. I didn't even put him on the prednisone because I'm like, let's just try this stuff because you don't have to do the prednisone right away anyway. So I would just do the different things, the juicing, the diet, the baths more. And then I never had to put him on the medicine. I would see it just went back to normal. I would test it at the hospital. The doctor would see it and he'd say, oh, well, I see it's, up. Let's try it in a week or so. And then I'd do all those things for a week. And we go back to the urine test and the doctor's like, looks like it's better. Good job. Okay, that's it. I was like, wow, thank you, God. If we're just trying to be thoughtful, even this, I still don't know what causes it, but I'm trying my best, right? Because I don't want my child to suffer. It's the same with us. We don't want to suffer either. But if we can just try these different things, they can help us if we try to even put our bodies with the right condition. My husband recently, he works, he has a flooring company. And he stepped on a rusty nail. He got home and it went right through his shoe and he was kind of hobbling around. And I'm like, oh, we can try 2 different things for that. Of course, he's always like, oh man. He thinks some of my things are a little crazy, which you got to give him a little credit for that. But he's willing to try usually. So I said, okay, we can either put a slice of potato on your foot or we can do charcoal poultice. And he's like, a potato? Give me the charcoal, So I was like, okay, because just in case it was rusty, we don't want tetanus. There you go, tetanus, because that's something we just really don't want. So I was like, let's just try the charcoal poultice because it helps to pull the things out. Sure enough, within a couple of days, nothing came about. His foot was feeling better and he was fine. It wasn't inflamed anymore. But just thinking through those things as well, to think of, okay, if there's something I can do myself, let me do it. There's always a time and a place to go to the doctor. I'm not saying to avoid them at all. But I thought, okay, it just happened. Let's try this and see how it goes. And sure enough, he still has his foot. He still walks around. So he's good. I think this is my last one I was going to share. I have 3 little kids. And they tend to get sick, right? It happens to all of us. And usually when they get sick, what happens? They start to kind of pull on their ears. Why? They're getting an ear infection. And so I've always thought, okay, an ear infection. I knew when I was little, when people would be sick, my grandma would put onions all throughout the house. And I thought, why is she doing this? Like, it's not pretty decorations. Um, but I've realized that she didn't cut her onions up. To me, now knowing like, oh, grandma, you were almost there. It's not just putting onions, but you want to at least cut it in half or cut up your onions. And it works like a filter in your house. So now every time somebody's starting to feel sick, I'll cut you up some onions before bedtime, put it right next to your bed on your little dresser, and good night. And I do that. And then my husband comes home and he's like, oh, who's sick? It stinks in here. He is not a fan of the onions. But I'm like, hey, it smells like Thanksgiving. Okay, we're just gonna think it's Thanksgiving. But it helps. Like I'll even do that if I'm starting to feel sick. I'll cut up the onions, put them right next to me. My husband doesn't like it, but I'm like, it's only a few nights, so just we'll deal with it. And it helps. It works as a wonderful filter. So onions, like what is an onion? 75 cents? Well, maybe more now. I don't know. A dollar or something. But for the ear infection, when my kids get ear infections, what I do is I've learned to cut an onion in half so that it still has the stem on the end so it won't fall apart. And I'll cut those in half and I'll put them in my steam basket and I'll steam it till it's nice and hot. And when it's nice and hot, I'll take a spoon and I'll press out a little bit of the onion juice and I'll have them lay down and I'll put it right in their ear. I'll have them lay there for a minute. And then once that's laid there for a minute, I'll wrap up the hot onion in a nice dish towel. And I'll make sure that it's not too hot. I'll try it on my own. And then I'll say, okay, this is perfect. I'll put it right on their ear, have them lay down with it. And then I'll either put a hat on them or something just to hold it there for an hour or so until it's cooled. Usually, as soon as I do that, they fall asleep because the pain is gone. They're starting to feel it working. That heat is really helping that ear, but also the properties in the onion is helping that infection. And I'm thinking, this is amazing. Luckily, I haven't had to have my kids on antibiotics ever. And I'm so grateful because God has shown me these different things to say, hey, I have something simple for you. Try it this way. When I look at the Bible and the health principles God gave us, are they complicated or are they simple? They're simple and they're cheap usually, which I love. They're so simple. And I'm thinking, okay, God, you've given us so many wonderful things that we can do for our body, especially when it's in an emergency type state, and I have my 5-year-old crying, oh, my ear, my ear. And I'm just like, okay, let's steam an onion. They already know, like, do you have an onion, please, Mom? And it's like, okay, let's cut it up, put it on there. And sure enough, sometimes I'll have to do it 3 or 4 times, depending on how bad their ear is. But after that, it clears up. But I'm just so thankful for these simple things that God has given us because I always want to go back and think, okay, what are the symptoms? What caused it? And then what can I do to help it? Because I've already said there's a time and a place for Western medicine, 100%. The emergencies are great times to go and use those, right? But I also have to stop and I have to think, okay, I also need to know things for my health, but now for my kids and my husband as well. I need to help take care of them, and see what we can do. So you can pray for wisdom. You can also look it up. Of course, it's the internet, and Google has every answer, even if it's not right. But to try to see, like, is there a natural remedy? Like, the people who came to my YouTube video about my appendix, they were just, like, looking something up. Like, is this going to work? Can I try something? Is there something to help with this? And luckily, they did find mine that actually does help. I know there's a lot of things on there that probably are not, maybe not helpful or true. But if we can try to go back and to say, okay, what's causing this? So what can I do? Is there something I can do to help? That's at least for me, that's always my first step. Unless it's a broken arm, then it's like, okay, let's go. And that did happen. Anyway, if given the right conditions, the body can heal itself. And like we said before, in Psalms 139:14, it says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God made our bodies. He has given us instructions on how to take care of them. And tomorrow I'm going to talk more in depth about different things that a lot of people go through, whether it's a heart disease, whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, and give you practical ways to see what are the symptoms of this so we can figure out what this is, what's the cause, and then how do we backtrack and how do we get rid of it. Because I've worked up at New Start. Has anybody heard of New Start, the lifestyle center? Okay. It's a lifestyle center, and people go there for 3 weeks at a time. And I worked up there in the cooking school, and I worked up there as a dietitian, and I would see people come in for their 3 weeks, and I would go and I would sit with the doctors and the healthcare workers, and we'd go over their lab work, we'd go over everything about these patients and see, okay, so this one has type 2 diabetes, and they've been having it for this long, and this is what their blood sugar is, this is how much metformin or insulin they're taking, and then we'd go over it weekly. I think multiple times a week. And we would just see, oh, here was their blood sugars. Oh, next week, and then the week after. And then the third week, we would go over it, and we would go over it with everybody celebrating, all the patients and everything, and saying, man, you came in with this bag of medications, and you're leaving on what? Nothing. They would leave in 3 weeks. They would get rid of most of all of their medications. And I would see this with my own eyes because of their choices that they were making at the lifestyle center. And I'll tell you about that more tomorrow, and share that with you, because their bodies were in severe state. And so when they came and they started to put their bodies in the right condition, they were able to get rid of a lot of those issues and those problems. So I'll talk about that more tomorrow and share some of the recipes as well. They're tasty, they're good. My kids like them. Yeah, not just my kids, but a lot of people do. And because I don't like gross food, like I want to eat healthy, but I also want it to taste good. So we'll be sharing those recipes tomorrow as well, and that's at 11 o'clock. So does anybody have any questions? You don't have to have questions. I just thought I I like this. It feels like a nice group. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they have an expiration date, but I think they have to put that on there just because I don't think charcoal actually expires. I mean, if you got some from 20 years ago, you might update it. They're not that expensive. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's just a powder in powdered form, so I don't think so. Yeah. If it gets wet, use it. Drink it or put it on something. Yeah. Any other questions? You can think of some tomorrow too and come. You can get it. Amazon has charcoal. You can get it at health food stores. I think probably even Walmart carries it now. You just, I always check because for me and my family, we don't have gelatin, and so a lot of the pills will come in the gelatin capsules. But you can get it on Amazon as well. Yeah. Okay. Am I ending it? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Another question. Sorry. Okay. The the charcoal? Oh, okay. The celiac. You could try the juice, the anti-inflammatory juice. Because the celiac, if you're having gluten, it will cause the inflammation in your body. So I would say the juice would probably be your best bet. Um, I see one back here. Hmm. The kidney, yeah. I didn't share it. I have it in my book. You can take a picture if you'd like. I also have it on my website with the video telling the whole testimony. The kidney stone one, I have it on my phone, so you can take a picture. I haven't shared that one yet. I don't know why. I need to, but yes, I do. I have a bunch of them, and they'll be available tomorrow. So that means if you want one, you just have to come tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you guys, and we'll see you all tomorrow, right? Okay.
Thank you so much, Kylee. Thank you all for coming. If anyone hasn't signed up for tomorrow, please do so. Registration is still open, so if you haven't done that, just do it so we have a head count so we know how many chairs to have and how many samples to make. So we'll see you tomorrow. That's at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. All right. Thank you so
Thank
much. Have
you.
a great evening.